Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Ifunanya and today I'm going to be showing you how to draft a basic bodice pattern. As you can see, I'm already taping my cardboard to the desk so that it doesn't move around while I'm working. The measurements and the materials I'm going to be using for this video will be displayed on the screen. Now I'm going to mark 0.5 inches away from the top of the cardboard to serve as my borderline or as a shoulder line. Next, I'm going to mark out my shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches. After that, I'm going to mark out my vertical body measurements, which are 10.5 for my bust, 12 inches for my underbust, and 16 inches for my waist length. Using my ruler, I'm going to draw out horizontal lines through each point. Next, I'm going to mark out my neck measurement, which is 3 by 3, 3 inches for the width and 3 inches for the length. This is like the standard measurement for necks, but if you are on the bigger side, you can use 4 by 3 or 4 by 4 so that you don't get choked by your own dress. Then I'm going to use my French curve to connect it so that I can have a round neck. But if you don't want a round neck, you can go ahead and have a square neck or a V-neck. But for this video, we're sticking to round necks. Next, I'm going to come down by 1 inch on our shoulder for the shoulder slope. And then I'm going to draw a straight line down to mark our shoulder, a vertical line for our shoulder, and then I'm going to connect the 1 inch to my neck. After that, I'm going to come up by 2 inches from my bust point to get our chest line. But the standard way to get this measurement is by dividing your bust by 6 and adding 1.5. But I prefer to come up by 2 inches because it's easier to remember and there isn't even any much difference. Now we have our chest line. I'm going to quickly label them so that we don't get confused. The first is the chest line, the second is the bust point, which is BP, CH for chest line, UB for underbust, W for waist, and SH for shoulder. Next, we're going to work on the armhole, but first of all, we're going to mark out our bust circumference on the chest line, which is 8.5. Next, we're going to measure from the slope to the chest line. Mine is about 7.25, and then we're going to find the midpoint, which is about 3.1, I I think, yeah, 3.1, 3.1 something, but I'm going to use 3.1. And then I'm going to mark it out on the line. From the midpoint, we're going to come out by 0.5 inches, which is half an inch. So we're going to mark it there, and then we're going to use our French curve to connect it from the midpoint, the 0.5 we came out from the midpoint, to the bust, the 8.5 bust circumference we measured on the chest line. Using our ruler, we're going to connect it from the slope to the midpoint so that our armhole is defined, properly defined. Next, we're going to work on our darts, and the standard measurement for this is 4 inches, but I'm going to use 3.5 because I'm not very busty, or I don't even have enough bust on my chest. Anyways, I'm going to mark 3.5 for my waist, 3.5 on my under bust, and 3.5 on my bust points. And then I'm going to connect it with my ruler. After that, I'm going to come down by half an inch from the bust point so that the dart doesn't affect our bust measurement, or that side doesn't become pointy. After which, I'm going to come out by half an inch on both sides of the line we drew to mark our darts. So 0.5 on this and 0.5 on that, and then I'm going to connect it to the dots above. That is our bust point, the dot on our bust point, the 0.5 inches below our bust point, and then we're going to have a mini triangle which signifies our dart. Next, I'm going to put in my waist circumference, which is 6 inches. And then I've already taken away 1 inch for that, 1 inch, and so I'm going to replace it behind the 6 inches so that by the time I remove the dart, the body measurement is still going to be complete. And then I'm going to connect it from my chest line all the way down to the waist. So our basic bodice pattern is complete, but then I'm just going to go ahead and add allowance to the pattern so that I can just place it on my fabric and cut. So technically I used 1 inch for the sides, 0.5 inches for the waist, and 0.5 inches for the shoulder, 0.25, which is quarter of an inch for the armhole and the neck. Now we are officially done with the front part of our basic bodice pattern, and then we're going to go ahead and do the back. So I'm just going to divide my cardboard and extend the necessary lines, which are the chest line, the bust line and the waistline. Now I'll go ahead and draft the neck part. Unlike the front, we're going to be using 3 by 2 inches for the neck because it's not going to be as deep as the front. But in some cases, if you want it deeper, you can make it deeper, but you are supposed to use 3 by 2 if you want it to be like the regular neck structure. Now we're going to repeat the same thing we did for the front. Mark out the shoulder measurements, measure out the slope, that is you're coming down by 1 inch, and then draw a straight line down to your chest line. Connect your slope to your neck, and then find the midpoint of your chest and slope line. For the back armhole, we're not going to come out by 0.5 inches. Instead, we're just going to connect the midpoint straight to the 8.5 on our chest line. So we're just going to curve it with our French curve. Then we'll go ahead and mark our waist measurement, putting the darts basically like we did in the first part for the front piece. Only the difference is that we're going to extend our dart line from the waist to the chest line. For the front, we stopped at the bust line, at the bust point, but then we're going to extend the back to the chest line. Next, we're going to replace the 1 inch for the darts back to the waistline and then connect from the chest line to the waist and add all our necessary allowances. Now we're almost done with our back pattern, but then we're going to go in by 1/2 inch from the midpoint of the back because our backs are not straight. So for it to have that proper fitting, we need to take in 1/2 inch, which is optional if you are not going to use a zipper, but if you are going to use a zipper, it is better you take in that half an inch so that your zip can slip on your back. Once you're done with that, remember to replace your 0.5 inches back to the side of your pattern or your fabric or wherever you're cutting from. Do ensure to add it back so that your measurement will still be intact. So that is all for our basic bodice pattern. Feel free to ask questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.